Hi, welcome to Time Valley Motorhomes. I'm Callum and this is a handover video of a Chausson Welcome 610. So starting off with the gas locker on the driver's side of the motorhome first, using the habitation key, which is your small round-headed key, you'll be able to open the gas locker. And in here you can fit one 6 kilogram propane bottle. So that's our test bottle that we've got on now to show you appliances working. So to connect the cylinder, you've got what's known as a pigtail, which runs from the regulator at the top here of the gas locker down onto the bottle. And this is a hand tightened pigtail, so you don't need a spanner. You just need to nip it up with your fingers. It's left to tighten, right to loosen. Opposite ways with the being gas. Once you've got the bottle on, there's a strap. Always strap the center of the bottle in so it's nice and safe and secure when traveling. And always isolate the supply of gas before you leave your site, so that when you're traveling, the gas is all contained to the bottle and isn't left open. And to do that, you would just turn it off on the top of the bottle. Put it on 1 or 2 turns when you get to the site. You don't need to turn it all the way out, just so that if you ever needed to isolate it quickly, you can just quickly put your hand in and shut the gas supply. That's your gas bottle. Next we have your Easy Chef barbecue. So this slides out if you plan on doing a bit of outdoor cooking. And you've got a skillet plate there, or you can lift that off and you've got some burners for some pans. And that works off the main gas supply off the bottle. Just make sure it's nice and cool before you do put it back away. It does just slide back in. And then you can lock this back up. You've got your awning light, your Fiamma awning, a safety lock on the door. If you're storing the vehicle using the red key, you can put this on and it just flips over the hab door there so that it is a second lock on the door. But never put that on when travelling in case you have to get out the habitation door if you're involved in a collision. Leave that off. Just when storing it at home, on the driveway, on a site, on the storage yard, you can put that on when leaving the van unattended. 2 fridge vents. Behind the back driver's wheel, you've got your waste water. So this is your grey pipe there. So this collects all the water from any plug hole inside the van. On the way out of your site, you want to drive over a grid or as close to a gully as possible, and you want to pull this open and it will allow all the water out. You don't want to travel around with the added weight of dirty water, because unfortunately it's going to take weight up in your payload and it's going to mean that you're going to use more fuel because you're heavier. So get rid of that on the site, on the way out of the site, and drive with no dirty water in your tanks, because it will mean you're better on fuel and you've got that little bit extra in to put your bits and pieces on board. WC, so your chemical cassette toilet. So lift the orange handle there and slide the cassette out. Once you've slid the cassette out, you can either carry it or you can wheel it to the waste disposal point. And to empty it, all you need to do is remove the cap, put the cap to one side, pour the contents of the cassette down the disposal point, which is normally beside your toilet block, shower block. There's normally a disposal point. Empty that, press the button as you're emptying it, it puts a bit of air in, gives it a consistent flow. Once you've emptied it, there's normally a tap. You put a bit of water in, give it a rinse, empty again, and then go in with a cap full of chemical, which is 120 ml, which can either be blue or green, into here depending on the site, what the site wants you to use. Into there, that into the van, and it's good to go. At the back you've got a large garage space. So it is heated. You do have 230 volt in there when hooked up, 12 volt. your awning, your garage light should I say, and your awning winding handle next to it, and access through all 3 points, this side, that side and the back panel. On the back of the van you've got your high level brake light, and then you do have a 2 Fiamma bike rack, so that just pulls down. Rails for your bikes to go on. These go through the spokes and tie the wheels down, and those arms go on the crossbar. And then it's best that you put a bike lock around the bike frames to tie them down so that they're safe and secure on the back of the van when left unattended. And then on the bottom of the van you do have your 4 parking eyes for your parking sensors, and your rear camera above your number plate there. Another access door, this is your slim line locker for your garage. External shower point, so this is a hot and cold mixer external shower. So in the van you'll have a hose with a bullfinch connection on, which connects to the side of the motorhome, and on the other end you'll have a trigger gun. As long as the pump's on, you'll be able to get a pressurised water flow through here. You do have to obviously have the boiler on previously to get some hot water, but it's great for hosing the dogs off the bikes, the boots or the wetsuits. Hookup point, so to hook the vehicle up to charge it, whether that be on a site or whether that be at home prior to a trip or just over the winter to keep the battery in good condition. You get your hookup lead, lift the collar, slide it on to the motorhome first, hook the site up, and then you will be able to receive mains 230 volt to the motorhome. This box here is known as your Techni box locker, so it has all your so in here you'll be able to find your water filler and your fuses and your trips. So you've got 1 water filler, so this is where you put your hose in and fill it with fresh water so that you can use the taps, toilet, shower on board the vehicle. Put it in there, wait until it overflows, or look on board the control panel and see how much water is in your tank. If you've got a full tank and you're now wanting to drain it to make it a little bit lighter on weight and better on fuel, so that you're not overweight if you've got a lot of equipment on board for your big summer holiday trip, what you can do is you can open this valve here, and opening this valve allows the water out when the pump's on, and it'll drain it from a full tank to 20 litres. So 20 litres is more than enough to stop and have a few cups of tea and use the toilet when you're travelling. To get rid of the rest of the water, however, you do need to get underneath the van, and you need to turn this valve, and this will allow the rest of the water out. So that'll drain the full tank down in the winter to stop it freezing when we're experiencing frost in the winter. Or if you're just simply not using it for a while and it's parked up, just let the water out. This side, you've got all your fuses. So you've got your trips on mains electric, so if the vehicle trips out, try here before you try your main site. Or if you think you're not receiving power, the best way to check is tripping the van. If it trips, you've got power. If it doesn't trip, unfortunately it's not the van, it's probably where you're getting the electric from. In here you've got your 12 volt fuses, which are all listed what they do, and it's just a standard blade fuse, so carry some spare fuses with you. You can get assortment packs from like eBay, Amazon for a couple of quid. Carry them with you, and if one does go, you can just replenish the fuse. And this is your charger, which charges your leisure battery when hooked up. When heating your water on gas, the cover needs to come off and be exposed like this. When on electric, it can stay on, and this is your cover, and the best place to store the cover is in the passenger door pocket. When you're travelling or when you're on electric, it can be on. When on gas, it must be off to allow the fumes out, and the best way to take this off is put a hand on the top, a thumb in the middle, and you'll be able to lift it off. Put it in the passenger door pocket, and then when the passenger gets in, they'll know to put the cover on. Diesel filler opens with the main key to fill with diesel fuel. Tyre pressures can be found on the slam panel. So there'll be 5.5 bar, which is 70 5.5 bar on the back, which is 79.5, and 5 bar on the front, which is 72.3 psi on the front axle. And you've got your tyre size. Leisure batteries underneath the seat here. So that's your leisure battery. Your toolkit, however, is underneath the driver's seat, which includes a jack, a brace, a tow and eye in there. Bonnet release is on the side of the passenger dashboard. And engine battery is underneath the floor. So underneath the floor you'll have a compartment there. That's where the engine battery is. It's not underneath the bonnet. With it being on a Ducato, very similar to a Boxer, Peugeot Boxer, and a Citroen Relay, they're all underneath the floor. All your fluids are this side, but the main one you're going to need is in the corner of the driver's headlight, which is your screen wash. Lift this cover off and it'll expose the filler for the power steering fluid and the coolant. Brake fluid, oil filler and dipstick, weight plate, earth for giving or receiving a jump start, and then the air filter, this contact here, which sometimes has a cover over, so you may have to just put your key in the side of the cover or screwdriver to lift this back off, but this is your positive for giving or receiving a jump start. So to operate your main 12 volt control panel, so if you're hooked up you'll get this green light here. If you're not hooked up you've just got 12 volt off your leisure battery, and to turn your master switch on, which is this green switch here, you would just press and hold. Next one, you've got the master switch for your lights, and they all are individually switched around the van. But you do need to have the master switch turned on to operate your electric drop-down bed on a Chausson. So this switch must be switched to get power to the beds, just how they've been wired. Pump, so making sure you've got enough water on board, you can turn your pump on, which will pressurise the flow to the taps, toilet, shower, external shower if one is fitted. Awning light, which is the light on the outside of the van, and then these buttons here correspond with the ones down the side. So you've got your trailer battery, which is your leisure battery. Take the hook up out to get a true reflection of the battery. You've got your truck battery, which is your engine battery. You've got your fresh water reading, and then underneath you've got your waste, so that'll go red once the waste is full. To operate your heating, which is a Webasto diesel heater, which is located just above the passenger seat, which is a new smart controller, so this has been upgraded by someone. You need to make sure that you have a quarter of a tank of diesel or more in the main tank, as it's on a different level for the intake of your engine compared to the intake of the heater. And then if you press once, you can start the control panel up, and you want to make it go green, so just press again. Adjust the temperature and press enter. And then this will use the diesel heater to heat the motorhome, which you can have on when running to keep the back passengers warm, or you can have on when parked up. And don't worry if the lights slightly flicker, it's just because the diesel heater takes such a draw of power. When it starts up, the lights will flicker, and they do it on all Chaussons just slightly until you get up to temperature. You can press again and you can go into the menu and you can adjust, you can set timers and things. So you can set timers, time it, heating. You've got eco, normal or boost, so you've got 3 stages for heating. So just leave it on normal. And there's a time there. And then you've got ventilation, which is 4 stages of ventilation, which is just a 12 volt fan that kicks it out the diesel heater. So you can turn it down so it's lower on a night, or you can turn it right the way up to 5. And you can also put the ventilation on, which just revents the heat that's within the van. So if it's already up to temperature, you can turn it to ventilation and it'll just recirculate that heat. And that's the blue function. But to start the diesel heater, it's dead easy. Press green, select temperature, and it's starting to heat the van. So just behind the passenger seat, on the base of your L-shaped dinette area, These two are your hot water controls for your Truma boiler. So you've got the gas switch and you've got the electric switch. You can always determine the electric switch because it says 230 and it says EL electric. The other one's just gas. So with the gas, the cover needs to come off to allow the fumes to exit the flue. Otherwise, with the cover on, you'll get a red light come up. And the red light will come up for 3 various reasons. So 1, the cover's been left on, 2, the gas bottle's still switched off, or 3, you've run out of gas. And you can switch between 50 and 70 degrees of heating your hot water, which is 10 litres at a time. Or you've got electric, which is this side, and you've got 1 kilowatt of power or 2 kilowatts of power. And you can use the gas and electric together, which will reduce the time it takes to heat the water if you're in desperate need. But if you're on a site, you just use electric. If you're wild camping, you would just use gas because you wouldn't have any source of electric to heat the water. But remember, cover off with the gas, cover can stay on with the electric. There's a switch being fitted by the previous customer as well, just down the side here of your L-shaped dinette. And this is a tank heater. So if it's going to freeze overnight and you're away in the van in the winter, you can turn this on and this will heat the tank to stop the water from freezing. And then in the back here you do have a 12 volt and a 230 volt plug in the corner. There's a switch here located on the base of your double dinette seat which controls the table. So again, the lights on the control panel needs to be turned on for the feed of 12 volt to the table, the same as the beds, as this is how they're wired by the French in the factory. And then you can bring the table down and bring it up. And what you would do is you would put it into position to fill this space here and drop it down to form the bed. So if you put it into position, drop it down, I kind of pull it this way as well, make sure it's over there, and then you'd put these little bars out and just rest a little bit of the table this way, so that it's, so you've got a little gap this side, and that would form the base of the bed. And then you would put your cushions on, but I'll show you how to put the cushions on later on in the video so that you know how the bottom double bed works as well as the top drop down bed. And to make your bed up, all you need to do is use the backrest of this side bench seat and the cushion, which can be found in the wardrobe or garage, which goes in there, and there you have your double bed. You may want to just remove these cushions so that you can get your pillows in and you get that slightly longer width of the bed by taking these out, but that is how you'd make your drop down double bed. To operate your drop down bed, what you need to do is you need to unbuckle the seat belt, so always make sure it's on when you put it up, but unbuckle it, turn the key on, press the on button and it will come down, and it comes down in stages. So if you were making that a bed, it stops here, or you can put it up just a little bit to give a little bit more headroom underneath, or you can press it again and then remove those cushions there, otherwise the bed will come down on an angle, so make sure they are removed. If you're bringing it down to its lowest point, which is what it is at now, and it's about waist height, and you can climb on and off of the bed, but make sure you take your pillows off, and when storing it in the winter, pull the bed down, don't leave it on the ceiling because you don't want the mattress to sweat against the wall board. Pull that down so that it can vent the air on top of the mattress. So now in the kitchen area, so next to the sink you have a 3 burner gas hob which takes 18cm pans on all 3 burners. So don't go any bigger than that because the burners are set up to heat that pan. Using a gas lighter or a clicker, you can light your 3 burners. Once you've had them on, turn them off, allow them to cool. When they're cool enough, put the glass lid down. Never put this glass lid down straight away because unfortunately these are still hot. It's going to heat the glass up and it's going to smash the glass, and it gives you such a fright when the glass does smash. You need to be careful. Pushing the catches in, you've got some storage in the upper lockers. And you've got your light there for the kitchen. Underneath, got a storage drawer, 2 230-volt sockets, large storage drawer for your pots and pans, and a little cabinet in here. Some more storage to the other side of the hob. And to turn your light on, there's just a little switch this side, so you can turn it on and off, and it's a cool white light, so it's very bright for your kitchen area. And this side, you do have your Dometic grill and oven. So starting off with the grill, see the grill's working there. Keep it held in until the thermocouple gets warm and you'll be able to release and it'll stay lit. And then at the bottom, you've got the oven which is on there. You'll be able to see the flame. So that is your Dometic oven and grill. To operate your Dometic fridge freezer. So in the centre of the separate freezer box compared to the fridge, you've got a control panel. And on the control panel, you'll be able to press the on button, which is here. This will turn it on and off. Press again, you'll be able to turn it back on. And you'll notice this is your source selector, this is your temperature. A stays lit up on the source selector, and there's a picture of a plug which indicates a hookup lead. A stands for automatic energy selection. So what happens with this is it picks the best source available to the motorhome at any one time, and it always prioritises mains 230 volt. However, if I was to unhook the vehicle and my gas bottle switched on, which it is, it will manually switch over to gas by itself, so it'll automatically do that. If I was to start the vehicle's engine, it would switch over to battery, which is off the engine running, and it's only designed to keep the fridge at the same temperature it was at when leaving. So if you're lucky enough to keep this at home, a few days before, hook it up, put the fridge on, day before put your shopping in, next morning you're leaving, on automatic it'll manually switch over, and then it'll keep your shopping nice and fresh until you get your first site. Or if you've been to one site and you're going to another, on automatic it'll just keep your shopping nice and fresh until you arrive on your next site when you travel. However, on automatic it does wait 20 minutes before lighting on gas, and this is a safety feature in case you forgot to isolate your cylinder and you're pulling in for diesel. The last thing you want is for the fridge to be sparking in a petrol forecourt when there's petrol fumes around. So it does wait 20 minutes, so it will just bleep and say it's failed. This little green light will show red to say that it's failed. In this case, you can just manually override it if you're going wild counter by pressing this button here. So take away the A, you're on mains, you're on battery, code 6, loss of 12 volt, no engine running because it's not. And then gas, temperature, 5 when pre-chilling. Once you put your shopping in, just turn it down. And then you've got this little setting here which stops this control panel here condensing because it's between the fridge and the freezer. When not using, turn it off. Leave the doors open. Underneath the doors you've got 2 travel catches. They slot into here and here and allow air to circulate in and out to stop Smells, as I've got a rubber seal on them there and form an airtight seal, so any air would be trapped in the fridge and freezer to cause smells, which is why you would leave your doors open. So just where your hot water controls are, if you take the cushions off and lift the cover, behind here is where your boiler lives. So your boiler holds 10 litres of water at any one time. And it's very important that when not using it in the winter, you let the water out. And to do this, you need to find your drain valve for your boiler, which on this model is in here. So if you lift this cover out, you've got a yellow toggle, and what you need to do is turn the pump off and lift this up, and it will allow the water out. Leave it stood up like that when not using it in the winter to avoid the water from freezing. Open all the taps within the van, make sure your waste's empty, make sure your fresh water is drained off, and that's all the water eliminated out of the motorhome, so nothing can freeze when we're experiencing cold temperatures. When you come to reuse the van, lie it back down so it's in this position now. Shut your fresh, shut your waste, shut all the taps within the van, get your hose pipe, put it in the side of the van and fill it with water. Come in, put your control panel on, turn your pump on. Cold side of the tap, you'll get a automatic flow of cold water, because on cold it's coming straight from the freshwater tank, and then when you go to hot, that's when it will cough and splutter. When it coughs and splutters, just let it do its thing until you get a pressurised flow of water from the first tap. It's just pushing all the air out the boiler, and it's filling the boiler of 10 litres of water. Once it's full, you'll get a pressurised flow of water. Do one tap, do them all, and then your system is primed. But it's very important that you drain it down for the winter to avoid the water from freezing, because no warranty will cover frost damage, because it's your responsibility as a customer to protect the boiler and the vehicle against frost damage. So that's the boiler. That's your control panel there for your solar panel, so it's charging your leisure battery with your main fuse for your solar panel there. The best way to check this is just checking the control panel next to the door, the main one, to see what the battery percentage is like when not hooked up. And then you've got two fuses in the fuse carrier here, which is your diesel heater fuses. So if your diesel heater ever starts playing up, or you've drained it down too low of diesel and you've sucked in a bit of air, you need to turn it on and off a few times, but you may have to do a hard reset. And to do a hard reset, you just need to lift the covers off the fuses, lift the fuses out and pop the fuses back in, and you may have to do that a few times. But that's why I say always make sure you've got a quarter of a tank of diesel or more in your main engine tank. And this is just showing you hot water's working there. As you can see, the steam is coming off the water. That is extremely hot. So your hot water system is working as it should. Also located in your wardrobe is your view cube receiver. So this customer has asked us to fit a view cube. So you need to turn on the switch, sends power to the receiver, and then to get it to lock on, you need to press and hold this button. So when you press and hold, it'll start to flash rapidly. Now you can hear it actually spinning, and what that's doing is it's locking on, it's searching, and then once it stops it'll lock on for a signal, and this will go green, and then you'll just have to program your TV, make sure it's got a inbuilt satellite receiver, that it's on Astra 2, Astra 28, 2.8, and it will find the same satellite this is finding and lock on, and you get your signal. Now it's just making final adjustments. and it's locked on there as it's gone from a flashing to a solid green light.